May on.
Yeah, I know, I think James, like next week.
He's gonna get you.
Like next Monday or something, so he's gonna be there.
Say, I heard Brian Bosworth's no longer with county.
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, Andy and I just had a surprise, at 11 o'clock, we found that out.
What?
There really is no detail.
Okay.
Just an announcement made before another meeting, a public safety financing meeting.
Oh,
And George Marlin just made the announcement. That was pretty much it.
and Colton's on vacation this week.
Colton was at the meeting.
Oh, Colton came back early then.
Yeah, Colton was at the meeting.
Okay.
And he did also say they're gonna appoint an interim manager tomorrow. So I heard that.
Yes.
Interesting.
So pretty quick, they'll get an interim in and then do a recruitment.
Do a recruitment for that? Oh, okay.
I know, sorry, I was.
Oh, Brian Bosworth, the county manager.
Oh, sorry. Brian Wilson.
Yeah. No longer.
Interesting, we're supposed to have them
Must have just happened.
at our place next week.
Yes. Okay, yeah.
Are they still doing that one? Because Brian came in and organized it last week or week before.
That's interesting. I was
I do not know the answer to that question.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. I did not know that. Okay.
I have to leave at 3:10 today.
Okay, we're gonna hammer through. Today is actually relatively, for me, a relatively light meeting, so hopefully we won't, for me. Hopefully we can jam through it pretty quickly. So I'm gonna go ahead and call us to order at 2:02. Do a roll call. I've got Katie, got Tara, I got Andy.
Here.
I got Steve.
Here.
I've got Lana. I've got Jeannie. Jeannie, you available to say here?
I'm here.
Jeannie's here. And I don't see Lindsay. I see her note taker, but I don't see her. So we'll just go with that. All righty. Did everybody get a chance to peruse the agenda? Any questions? I have a motion to approve the agenda. Motion to approve. Okay, do I have a second? Andy, second. All right, did everybody look at the minutes from the 21st meeting? Any questions on the minutes? Well, can I have an approval of the minutes? Motion to approve the minutes. Tara, can I have a second? Wonderful. Don't have any scheduled public comment today, but I do want to introduce our new printing person. Say hello and introduce yourself real quick since you're here.
Yeah, Ira Johnson with Happy Llama Printing. So we're a comprehensive print service, been working with Sadie on colors, and making sure the whole brand guidelines that you guys came up with met, and then we get them consistently pushed out for you.
So we're gonna be putting out a first, and I'll go into it a little bit more in our direction report. We're gonna put out a first little rollout of some merch that the businesses within Idaho Springs can purchase directly through the Happy Llama print portal. They can purchase it directly through them and it will ship directly to the business. Then we're taken out of the middle. We don't have to worry about it. We can also buy any of our own merch if we want to have it for events, for giveaways, for promos.
Did we ever decide, I know it was talked about like the modification of the cities branding you have with them, like us modifying it to work with our businesses, or is there a brand catalog or acceptance?
Yes, so that's stage 2 that we're gonna work on, is that partnering with Happy Llama to then create things where Club Hotel could have something that's Club and Idaho Springs. Tommy Knockers could have something that's Tommy Knockers and Idaho Springs. So that's stage 2. Once we get through this first roll and get some testing going, then that's the next step, is to start creating guidelines and structures on how we can co-brand printed materials for businesses to use. Such as Combo wants to do something for the Friends of Bee Camp stuff. So we're working on that into the next step after we get the first section stuff done. So, okay, moving right along into my director's report. So big things happening. We have been working behind the scenes on the stage 2 or version 2 of the Visit Idaho Springs website. And I'll put it up on the screen so you guys can see a few things that we're working on. So version 2 is going to include more robust tabs, such as a plan your visit tab. So this is a plan your visit tab. And again, these are just still in development. There's placeholder imaging in here, but it will have things like how do you get here by car, by transit, airport shuttles, pro tip, looking to carpool. This will have the links to where to stay, frequently asked questions. We'll also have our things to do page that we're currently working on. Again, this is where most of the business listings are going to be featured. So you're going to click outdoor adventure, and then that will take you to a whole tab that has everything to do with outdoor adventure, every business that's related to outdoor adventure. Same thing with arts and culture, shop local, food and drink. And then we will have an itineraries placeholder. After speaking with the County Tourism Bureau, we might for a little while link into their itinerary planner here because they have a robust itinerary planner on the Clear Creek Tourism website. We're kind of just deciding how we're going to move forward with that. But this is also going to be updated with nope, that's the one quick, sorry. We're going to be enhancing the, so sorry, this is super small and zoom in so you guys can see a little bit better. Again, you can see here, homepage, plan your visit, things to do, local events, discover Idaho Springs, and then the community page. We've also enhanced with the footers, incorporating some of our illustrations that go in with the brand guidelines and changing up the branding a little bit to move through the website to create more of a feel and less of a stock website look to make it look more of a custom built out website. Same thing here, you can see outdoor adventures, arts and culture, shop local, food and drink, and itineraries. V1 or V2 that we're working on now will have summaries. V3 final version will have everybody listed. So the thing that's taking me the most time is verifying all the business data, making sure I have everybody's contact information, I have everybody's website information, I have everybody's logo that they want to use. It's a robust, lots of work. The tourism website I've been using a little bit, but we've come to realize that that website isn't accurate. They're going through a revamp as well. So I'll be cross-sharing with tourism once I've finalized all our data and I've checked and make sure. I'll be checking in with all the businesses that I know to do my best to make sure the information is correct up front. But for V2, it's going to look like this with summary information, like, hey, we have these kind of things. It won't have every business listed at first. Final launch, which will be probably towards October, will have the businesses all listed in there. So that's where we are on the website. We've continued to see growing traffic on it, which is great. Continue to see those numbers go up. The more we're educating about it or sharing about it at events, we see a peak in viewership after those things. I have transitioned our meeting announcements and our post meeting notes to the website. So now all of those come out of their internal thing. And last month you guys saw a meeting recap that came out of the website builder and is branded. That also helps so that it has all the contact manager in there, so I can just send it all to one and I don't have to be blind copying and making sure I don't miss. That way, if you want to encourage anybody that wants to get notes on these meetings or feedback to sign up via the newsletter on the Visit Idaho Springs website. That will give them into that. And everybody, so we'll be doing 2 emails, just an email that says, hey, this is the Business and Community Promotion Board invite, which everybody got out of there. And then a follow-up out of there for right now. So there'll be 2 emails a month coming out of that so far. On that note, we probably do need to look at expanding. Right now I'm paying $12 a month for the email thing, and it's 500. I thought it was 500 emails, but it's 500 email addresses that you can send to in a month. And we've already exceeded that because we have 385 emails on our email subscriber list right now. So we'll have to up to the next level of thing, which is $20 a month, and then it's unlimited emails. So for right now, it's working. It does help because what I can see is I can see how many people are opening the emails. I can see how many people click into, if I have links within the emails, it tells me if people are clicking into the email and then into the links. I can easily copy and paste. It gives the brand guidelines across the board. So it's a great way to kind of just keep track of that stuff. So that's where I am on that. Again, continuing to see consistent growth on the Facebook and Instagram as we're doing more collaborative reels. We did a great collaborative reel with the yards on Bee Camp. That was excellent. That got quite a few followers off of that. So we're continuing to see growth in that area. If you haven't seen the banners installed on the barricades, they're out. We were talking about that at the beginning. We might want to consider when we order banners, if we need new banners or if we want to double side the banners, which we've got some feedback for the internal barriers to have banners on both sides, that we might want to install wind slits because they are kind of rising up a little bit, not off the ground, but just thinking about that. Our billboard is up. So the billboard, yeah,
See it.
there we go. If you drive up so it's right off like Highway 6 and I-70 on the south side. And you see it, it looks great. Again, no way to really track ROI on a billboard. But it looks cool. And for right now, we have that until, oh, there's Lindsay. We have that until November as of right now. And then Argo may take that over in November, according to the MOU we signed with them. However, talking to Mary Jane, it sounds like they might be asking us if we would be open to leaving it up through November and switching over December 1st. So as we get closer to that, I'll let you guys know, but looks great. And yeah, so next time you're driving on I-70, take a peek. We talked about Happy Llama. I mentioned how we're doing on that. Once we get the portal up that has the first round of merch, it will go to the board first for you guys to take a peek at it, make sure you guys approve of it before we send it out to anybody else. So you guys will get your eyes on that once we just worked through the first round of mock-ups. Ira and I met today to make sure thread colors and print colors were all matching and trying to make sure everything matches perfectly as much as we can. It looks like it's going well. So we'll get that out. The fall launch video is going into production. The 22nd and the 6th are the days of the shoot. So this 22nd Friday, we'll be doing the shoot all around. All of the talent was sourced locally. Thank you, Tara, for our final talent casting.
So
They said yes. Yeah, on Friday, they're gonna have a Hot Springs Day. Yeah. So that video will be shot on the 22nd and the 6th. I expect that we'll see that video towards the end of September in its draft form for the full launch of the campaign in November. So that's where we're at on that. The board voted for the nonprofit, and the skate park was awarded that video. So the skate park was awarded that, and after speaking to Cam, they're gonna be focusing on the match funding that they're currently working on, as well as talking about the grand opening and all the services that will be provided at the skate park. That will be I think Katie's gonna set it up so it can be an evergreen video for them. It will have a little section of the video that will talk about the match fundraising, and then most of the video will be stuff that they can use long term. Okay, wayfinding grant. This is probably the area I wanna pause and take the most time. We have kicked it off officially, and we had our first meeting with all of the stakeholders. And my bad, I did not loop Steve into that stakeholder group as the chair of this board, so he's now been looped in. He and I have had several meetings about this, and then he'll attend all the meetings moving forward to make sure that the board has a board member representation on the committee. So during that conversation, Argo brought up that they have contracted Triba Architects to be doing the Argo's sites branding and wayfinding. And these guys are pretty high-end architects and wayfinding strategists that actually, Steve.
That's what they do. I got to have breakfast with the principal of the wayfinding part of their business, and super professional. If you Google their website, it's mostly super high-end buildings they do. But of course, all these big buildings and complexes need to have wayfinding, so they have people on staff. That's what they do. I mean, it's amazing when you listen to somebody like that talk. They just have the language and just like branding people do. And they're super professional, I'll say that much.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was it? TRYBA.
TRYBA.
Okay.
Triba Architects, and their contact is Tommy Mapp.
Hi, Matthew. And I will say that there would be zero access for Idaho Springs or the Argo. It wasn't for Dana.
Crawford.
Crawford. She had done work with them and brought them in before she died, and Argo's and Mary Jane's didn't work with them. So they have the opportunity to work with Triba, and possibly we do too for what's necessary.
So I had, what we've done so far on the grant is Dylan and I have done an assessment of where we are. Like, what's our base right now? Where are the signs we have? Where are the pain points that we know we're gonna need signs? What does it kind of look like from a mapping strategy? So Dylan and I have done that much. That's really all the work that's been done so far. Argo is requesting that we consider having Triba participate. To what level we would like them to participate is kind of up to you guys. There's a couple of things. So if we want to change the vendor who's doing our work, we would need to do a grant scope change. Because Nate from Ember is named as the vendor of the grant. So to change vendor, we would need to do a scope of work change for the grant. Not a big deal, Andy, scope changes happen regularly. It would just be something we would have to do internally with CTO to change the scope of the grant. So we could change vendors if we wanted to go with this Tribera Architects.
Would it be a scope change or would it be just a vendor change?
Just a vendor change, sorry.
Okay, cause I don't know if the grant organization would care about the vendor as much
Well,
as they
he
would
was-
scope change.
He's called out in the grant scope of work as our vendor, so
Okay.
that was the only thing,
We
and
just have to just notify
we might have to
them, but,
clarify with them.
The scope change might require more of a process, I would think.
Yeah, but this wouldn't be really a scope change,
Yeah.
maybe necessarily, it's just a vendor
Yeah,
change if we
okay.
wanted to go that route.
Then do you want to talk about that now? or
Yeah,
just-
this is now the time to talk about that.
So, my concern with them and knowing Ember very well, Ember is very good at branding and graphic design, but not a wayfinding person. And I thought going into this wayfinding thing was you just make some signs and arrows, and turns out it's a whole thing.
Oh, it's one of the, in my opinion, one of the most important things we can do for our community.
I had no idea. I was blown away when I Googled it for the meeting because that's how big it
Yeah.
was. And wow, when I started researching, then I went to this meeting, like, whoa. So my opinion is if you have an expert who's willing to do it, you should probably go that way. Nate is definitely, or Amber is definitely an expert at branding, and I think they've done a great job, but wayfinding is not what he does. So there should be some conversation by this group and to talk about that, you know. Do you want them to consult, or do you wanna switch to this other group from Ember? Or have them try to work together, or what do the finances look like?
I think the brand needs to be incorporated, of course,
Oh.
into the wayfinding. I would like, sorry, I'm jumping in,
No,
but let the wayfinding experts kind of do their thing and use Nate as a design consultant to ensure the brand is adequately incorporated into it.
I know that Tommy Matthews is willing to work with us from the city's perspective. I have reached out to him just based off of kind of some initial conversations and asked if he could provide us a quote. Now, it's an understanding that he's going to be more expensive than Nate. You know, Nate built his package to fit the grant requirements. So Nate is charging as much as the grant is, not that that's how much he would normally charge. He's just doing that because he's a partner. I do, looking at the proposal that they put up for Argo, of course, Argo's proposal also has branding work in it. So there's a lot more in that proposal. But if you were just to look at the wayfinding components of just Argo, I would imagine that the cost of him to do Idaho Springs as a whole would exceed the grant total. Not to say that it guaranteed that it would. I don't have that information yet. I'd be happy to continue to proceed. We aren't on a time crunch with this grant. Obviously, we feel like we'll probably be done before the grant timeline exceeds. But this will slow us up.
So I think you need to kind of vote, decide if you wanna,
Yeah,
change the.
if you guys want, kind of trying to understand what you guys want to do. If you guys want us to, if you want me to proceed getting information from Tommy about how much it would cost for him to be the lead wayfinding expert in this project, and then Nate could consult from a brand design standard, I can do that. I would definitely need a vote from you guys to say that that's a change in the direction, because it's definitely a change from what I've been doing.
Do we have the money for it?
Yeah.
I'm just looking at their portfolio,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
really, they have big
nice,
clients.
Yes, they have
Yeah.
big clients. It depends. So there's a couple of things. If we wanted to pull some money out of what we've designated for fourth quarter ad buys, we could probably make up the difference there. And then we could focus on all of our ad buys being in 26 and maybe do something small at the end of this year, just like maybe a shop local campaign. And we just focus on a small, lower hanging fruit shop local campaign that wouldn't cost as much. We could probably use the excess in the budget that we designated towards ad buys for fourth quarter to make up that gap.
I did ask him point blank, can you do whatever you do for wayfinding for what our grant money is? He says, yes, I can provide you, since you have the branding, I can give you the wayfinding, but that doesn't include the signs.
Yeah, well, no,
This
yeah,
is just the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plan, that's the same with Nate, right?
it's the same as
Okay,
Nate.
so
Yeah, that's
I
the
know that.
same. There's no difference. So this grant only covers the strategy and the plan, and then 26, we can apply for the CTO execution grant, which is bigger, cap dollars for the capital to actually implement the signs. That would be a 26 grant application that opens in March.
I'm kind of realizing now, I did tell him $30,000 because from the grant,
That is,
and that did not carve any money out for Ember.
right.
So I don't know, they'd be on top of the 30, I'm assuming. All this has to be gone through again with Tommy and then figure what Nate would charge just to be a consultant.
My question too is, I mean, we have the brand package done, and part of that was the design strategies or design, you know where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
And so I don't know that we would really need a lot of consulting, as long as the wayfinding group, if they're designing the signs with this package, then, I mean, they have access to the design guidelines, that was what
I agree, but it'd still be good to keep
Yeah.
Nate involved, but that's
Oh,
what I'm saying.
100%, yeah.
Wait, do it for $2,000 just to sign up, because one thing of concern is Nate's first run at signage was, I thought, really weak.
Carla?
Yeah, I just wanted to sort of interject as a professional who worked with Triba in the past and who has worked for companies that do wayfinding at the level, if not higher than what Triba does. And I would just talk to him, just talk to Tommy and find out what he can put into the proposal. Tell him what your numbers are and at least get the proposal, get a proposal from him, because he's already got a lot of work that he's put into the Argo. And so a lot of that information about what he's mining, not to be funny there, but what he's, what he's mining about the town and the roads leading to and from different areas of town, specifically for what he's been doing as the Argo, but he's got that information. And so there may be a bit of a cost savings there already. Will they be more expensive? Yeah, more than likely, but I think you're going to find that as Steve said, that the knowledge that they have specific to wayfinding it's worth every penny. I mean, it's not a branding exercise. So I would at least just vote to get a proposal from him, and he can tailor that proposal for what he needs with a conversation from Sadie, is my feeling.
Carla.
So another conversation is Argo has got their thing going on.
Mhm.
Idaho Springs, how similar do you want these to be to each other? Like, I don't think that anybody is saying that the Idaho Springs and Argo are gonna be identical wayfinding, but they shouldn't be totally separate either.
No,
I agree.
they're
They need to
compli-
complement. each
Yeah,
other.
complementary. I think complementary is extraordinarily important. I mean, there's one other option is that, and I've spoken to the Argo team about this, is that we could also just invite Triba to participate in the grant, leave it as it is and ask them to participate and use Argo's $5,000 match to pay Triba to participate in this. However, I think Steve made some really excellent points, is that if we have an opportunity to work with an expert that we wouldn't have an opportunity to work with otherwise, I mean, it sets us up for success in that way.
Yeah. And I think too, it's important, Steve, to your point about the Argo, to our anchor sites, so like the hot springs should be included in that conversation as well, and everything should complement. And as you saw over the weekend, the crazy traffic, I mean, we need that expert. Yeah, we need an expert to take a look at us and see how we can most effectively manage ourselves, but I definitely think our anchor destination sites need to be a big part of it and reflect kind of the brand and what we're trying to do.
And on that, I also, after the meeting, was thinking, sitting and talking, it's not just the Argo and Idaho Springs, it's also Coomba and V Camp, I consider it
Yeah.
one. They have their wayfinding going on. And then the Mobility Center Feds, I'm assuming they're gonna have their own wayfinding going on. I don't know if that includes our giving input. And then, of course, the highway. So all those things, so ideally would kind of work together for successful collaboration.
Yeah. So Carla's comment online is so Comba is already a contributing match to the grant. Comba is already a named contributor, but maybe we approach Hot Springs about if they want to match in. That might be able to, if we include them in, they might be able to add some funds to the bucket to continue to expand that budget beyond 30,000. Again, that 30,000 includes our portion, and then it's a $5,000 match from Argo and a $5,000 match.
It's actually 40,000?
No, 30,000 total. It's 20,000 grant money. 10,000 city match, 5,000 Argo, 5,000. 30. Yeah, did I do that math right in my head? I don't have the grant scope in front of my face, so.
Even getting him on the screen to communicate is kind of this, it was really impressive, but listen to the talk, so. And, since I look at every sign totally different,
Of course,
I
yeah,
told the
once you
town, I'm
start
like,
realizing it, you're like, "Oh."
I had no idea, and now it's like a thing.
Yeah, all I would need from you guys is a vote to change the direction and to get a proposal from him and to kind of see if, how that might change the layout of how we're running within the grant. If you guys want me to do that, I'm,
So you're making a motion?
so I can't make a motion.
I'll make a motion. So to reach out to Triba to get a proposal, including Amber as a potential consultant. For the wayfinding package and to include, making sure that they're including all anchor sites in the discussion. Sorry, that was not.
So Lindsay made a motion to get a proposal
Yeah.
from.
Showing that for me.
Lindsay made a proposal to get, Lindsay made a motion to get a proposal from Triba to include Ember as a consultant and brand consultant and to loop in major destinations.
Yes.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion passes. All right, I will do that and I will get you guys a report as soon as possible. That'll probably come to you guys via email, so just watch your emails for that one. On to another grant conversation.
Sadie, before you want.
Yeah.
It's just taking a glance at the budget, and I know you'll probably be talking about that later, but since we're on this particular topic. If you're talking about, if the thought is that we apply for an implementation grant next year, let's go ahead and budget for that.
Okay.
Even though we don't know if we're gonna get the grant, but that's normally our practice. If we're applying for a grant, we'll budget that. If we get the grant, we move forward, or if we don't get the grant, we either don't do it or we just scale it back.
Okay.
So that way, I think it'd be good to have it in there because this is a really high priority for in so many ways. And I think even if we don't get the grant, I'd like to see us maybe make some headway with some wayfinding next year. We've got Greenway, which is, we're doing that in coordination with Jefferson County. They're kind of taking the lead on that, but we're trying to get a standardized wayfinding along the Greenway all the way through. So we can tie it into that and what Argo's doing, what they're opening and all of that. So, but we may not have that number right at the moment, but let's just think about that.
I can ask them what they think match is gonna be like on
Okay.
that grant, and I can estimate it off of what, I would imagine I can ask him.
And then we put the total amount, including the grant, that's what
Right.
we budget, and then we identify what the match.
Matches, sweet, okay.
And I don't know how much money this would bring in, but I know the skate park has their brick program, and so I don't know for like actual brick and mortar dollars, if doing a campaign like that, and maybe for our downtown area, we can store them somewhere until construction starts, but I think they've been pretty successful with selling those bricks.
That's another opportunity as well. Awesome. Okay, next grant. So prior to this meeting, we had talked about being the grant administrators for the next round of the marketing grant applications for 26. However, the the Clear Creek Tourism Board has hired a new director, and it's Jess Jones from Georgetown. So she's no longer working for Georgetown. She's now Clear Creek County's tourism director, and I'm very confident in her being grant administrator. I think she can execute that well. It gives them, the county, the managing those funds, I think is a better suit than us as a municipality managing those funds for something that's gonna be multi-municipality. So what I would like to do is kind of review where we are with that grant and then get your guys' approval for Idaho Springs to provide a letter of support that says that we're in support of the Clear Creek Tourism Bureau applying for this grant. The grant is due at the end of the month. We are meeting this week or early next week to kind of finalize that. So it would be really good for us to make sure. So this is the deliverable, and this is an example of the deliverable. This is called a Gravel Adventure Field Guide. And it's not going to be exactly like this. It would be more based off of heritage recreation. So how to link our heritage sites to recreation, and then how to link them back into the municipalities. This is a great way for municipalities at the back to be featured and have their businesses, as well as it's a trail guide that gives different adventures. It would cover the whole county. And basically it has a lot of opportunity again for advertising within for the businesses. Colorado Tourism, when we did our LOI call with them, really liked the idea and actually encouraged us to apply for a 3-year instead of just a one-off. So expanding this from 1 year to a 3-year program, growing this program to be multifaceted, including a digital version of this, as well as then also an interactive component within each municipality, such as Find the Tommyknocker and hide little Tommyknockers in different recreational tourism sites where people can find them, and then there's a scavenger hunt component. So this could be a 3-year approach to this grant. It aligns really perfectly with the 150-250. I think we would be slighted pretty heavily to get this grant. It sounded like they were very interested in this just because it aligns so well, and this is a CTO partner. This is partnering with, they're called Gravel Adventure. So they help us produce this as a vendor that we would go to and help design this little booklet. That we would have a physical booklet and then again, a digital component of this booklet as well.
Pass it around, Sadie. I've seen
Yes.
the digital version, but I haven't seen the actual.
Again, this one is based off of like, this is heavily bike focused. Ours would be heritage, bit focused. So it would be about history and recreation meeting together, as well as bringing those into the municipalities.
So would they be for sale for free?
No free.
And we just got the tours. they're
They could
everywhere?
everywhere. Yeah, we could put them at businesses, we could put them at the visitor center, we could put them at hotels, we can, yeah.
And they are paid for how?
They would be paid through the grant. The first round of the purchase, would be paid through the grant.
What do they cost each?
Um,
Feels not cheap.
No, they're not. They're actually, because of the programming and the way that they work, they're actually not very expensive per booklet, but I don't know the exact per booklet cost, but they're actually relatively inexpensive when you come down
Happy
to it.
Llama make them?
I don't know.
Hopefully.
We could get the design and print it right from you.
We've done a lot of books like that in the past, and there's a lot of fun ways that book is free. There's actually, I don't know if you've seen National Parks, but they've done mugs that have a sticker specific to each park. You can put on a mug. So you can create some ancillary revenue streams out of this as well. We've done some postcard series programs where you actually have a semi-adhesive character. So you're using the Tommyknocker with a semi-adhesive character that goes on a postcard, and then we can move that character around on the postcard. And so there's a lot of interactive ways to actually kind of up the game with this, but so it isn't very experiential.
Yeah, and that's what CTO I think was seeing, is that this could be a huge, like, much larger than they were like, your scope is too small, make it bigger. So we got a lot of encouragement from CTO to move forward with this as a larger proposal, as well as to plan for applying for the marketing grant for 3 consecutive years. So you can be awarded the grant 3 consecutive years before you're asked to take a break. And again, similar to most grants, if you apply for part 1 and you're saying you're applying for 3 parts, generally, if you're approved for part 1, you'll most likely be approved for part 2 and 3. So to understand the money, $49,000 is the total amount of this grant. It's a 2-to-1 cash match, so it's a little bit higher of a match than we're used to. It's a 26 project timeline, so this would be budgeted for the 26. I requested that we look at it, since Idaho Springs is the larger of the municipalities that has the most assets and most recreation and most businesses in that we take on a larger portion of the grant match, that we would contribute $10,000 to that, with the understanding that that means that we would have a matching amount of coverage.
Does the match have to go, I mean, can it be general kind of tourism efforts that support this, or does it have to be
No,
like
this-
more matched to that
Yeah, no.
specific thing?
Okay, yeah, this would be one program.
Yeah.
So it would
Okay.
be that 10,000 would go towards
Yeah.
this funding.
I'm just wondering what else are we doing that could potentially qualify as match, but it sounds like it has to.
No, it has to be,
100%.
it has to be funds, yeah. So then it would be the Tourism Bureau, contributing 5,000, Georgetown potentially contributing 5,000, Empire potentially contributing, well, no, Empire has committed to, Empire has committed to 3,000. Potentially Silver Plume. If Silver Plume cannot provide the match, it sounds like the Tourism Bureau would be considering matching that. So the Tourism Bureau would absorb that 2,000 for Silver Plume, so it would be 7,000 from the Tourism Bureau to cover the smaller municipalities. Thoughts, questions?
What about individual contribution, like say, Silver Plume might not, but the Loop Railroad money?
They would be, well, I guess that's
selling ads?
well, I mean, there is ad space in there. You could sell ads out of the thing. That, we haven't gotten that far in detail
Yeah.
into the nitty gritty about the ads.
Could only the money be coming from municipalities or coming from businesses.
I'm pretty positive that it needs to come from the municipalities participating, at least for the grant match funds. Now, if we want to extend the scope of the 49,000 to have businesses buy in for ads or those kind of things to make it more robust immediately, I think we can do that. But I do believe that for the matching funds from CTO, they need to come from municipalities.
Would it be the 49,000 each year?
No, the following 27 has a little bit more of a kick in it. There's more money, I think, in the 27 grant. But I don't know the numbers because they haven't released them yet. But they were hinted that 27's numbers were a little bit more. What that means, I don't know.
Well, I missed obviously the second half of the meeting the other day.
Yeah,
And so from what I'm understanding is like, you guys are recommending that we apply for the 3-year option.
Yeah.
And that's what CTO recommended.
Yeah.
And so it'd be at the very least starting the 49, but then it could go up. And so then the match could be higher too.
well, it would be in each budgeted
Right.
thing. So we would have to apply every year. It wouldn't be like you apply once and for 3 years. You have to apply for each round.
Got it. And then do we need to use that grant or that whoever's producing that book? Is that like the CTO recommended publisher type of thing? or-
They're a CTO recommended partner, but we don't have to use them.
So I'm going off on a bit of a tangent, but I was thinking of your idea, which I love, and my kid is so into the national park and the stickers, and he has a poster with scratch offs of which, and going off with like the postcards that Nate did. I was actually on a trip recently where I went to a restaurant and they gave us a bunch of postcards and said, here, fill these out, we'll send them anywhere in the world. And so I'm just wondering, maybe we do postcards and we have stickers for the destinations. And once you get all the stickers, you drop them off at a certain location and we will budget to mail them anywhere in the United States or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
And just to kind of track how effective it is. So maybe the stickers are I don't know, but something that I'm just wondering if that could be another phase of it where, because I'm always about like, how can we measure the success of the program? And so if we say, oh, well, we mailed 500 postcards that people completed, might be kind of,
That's a good ROI, yeah.
but I love that. It's cool.
Yeah, like something you tear out. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know how they would collect the sticker. I mean,
stickers and
yeah,
Mhm.
maybe if they get a minimum of 2 stickers, they can mail their postcard anywhere.
Yeah.
And drop them off. We have like a box out in Citizens Park or something, and they put them in there and we collect them every couple of weeks and put stamps on them and send them off.
I have these like booklet things that they sell. People love them. They buy them.
Yeah, field guides.
Yeah, the field guide, the field guides.
Yeah.
I don't think they're cheap. To me, it's like, you look it up, but people will purchase,
Mhm.
and like, obviously, they're free, but.
So if I could, I don't know who all would be a focus in marketing, but on that sticker idea, that booklet, you have to kind of go through page by page. You can do multiple stickers on a 1-page sheet that could be at the same distribution points as these. In my case, it's usually a great visual of the character with a space, and it kind of encourages people to want to take the sticker off and put it on a book, or leads them to the next place in line a little more proactively than the guidebook that they're taking to the space. So again, you have to work it into your marketing campaign. There's a lot of ways that each of these distribution points that you can lead people to the next
Yeah.
place you want them. We did a postcard campaign, we used to develop merchandise for Red Rockies. So at every new venue, we in the merchandise store accepted the postcard, we printed them, people fill them out, and then we took them to the post office and mailed them for them. So when you proactively take that step to get them delivered for people, it's another space where people will participate more rather than fill it out and then forget to put a stamp on it, or fill it out, put a stamp on it at night and take it to the post office. So it just shows more involvement always from your standpoint.
And I think the purpose of this though, it's I mean, this is really gonna be more about connecting the trails back to the businesses, right? Because that's the heavy focus, I know, from a county perspective. And so I think that's why doing more of the trail guide aspect of it is the way it is that's like the purpose of it.
Yeah.
Is to make sure that we're connecting people from the trails back into the town. And I know from a county perspective, that is incredibly important to the county commissioners that we do that work.
Well, and again, linking back to what Colton said, when you look at our leakage and where we're seeing a lot of that leakage, a lot of where we're seeing our missed opportunities is people that are recreating but are not coming back into the municipality. So this is a way to get them from recreation. We could even have stacks of these at the trailheads, you know, so these are things they can pull from the trailheads and have physically there to then see that there's a way to bring them back into the municipalities. Obviously, this is a grant, so it's not a guaranteed thing. The next step for us is you guys deciding if we're comfortable with Crook Creek County Tourism being the grant administrator, and if you're comfortable with me providing a letter of support to move the process forward. We would apply at the end of the month, and then we would hear, I think, Jess, are you on? Do you remember what the award is? You can type it in the chat. And then we would be awarded. I don't remember the award date. So if Jess types it in the chat, I'll let you know.
I think it's a great idea.
Those QR codes go to a biking app, so it would go to like all trails or something.
We could pick the QR code to go wherever.
Flowers.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering too, and I know scavenger hunts are kind of hit or miss sometimes trying to get people to engage, but the idea, like with the Slacker Marathon, people obsess over those little gnomes that they give out, like everyone wants that gnome. So I'm just wondering if we order a bunch of these things, you can hide them, but also maybe they get 2 stickers, they get to send their postcard off, but if they fill the whole thing up, they can go redeem it for a Tommyknocker gnome or something. If they get something, I think especially with families, it might, like we've done in the past when I worked with conferences and events, we would try to do little, like, stop at each business and get a card, and it wasn't always successful, but I think doing something like this with families might be more.
Well, and if we're trying to really target some of the metro area
Yeah.
folks, or trying to get people who are coming here but not spending any money, because I mean, that's part of what Colton's data shows, is that if you can get them to spend money, they spend money like they're an out-of-town guest.
Yeah,
And so you just need those people on the metro area to come up here and spend some batch. And so if they do,
exactly.
so if it's a program that's even like something they can do all summer
Over a
long,
year or
yeah,
through the
exactly,
summer,
then it might
exactly.
get them up here even more frequently to participate.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And this
that's
is
a nice idea.
super customizable, which is really nice. We can really create this to be whatever we want it to be. And again, they're going to design it and we'll get a first round of print, but then we own that design. So then if we want to reprint, we can print it with whomever we want to save cost.
Or take it to the next level and the next.
Exactly. Continue it.
Yeah, I think it has a lot of potential to get really creative, so I vote for the 3-year grant.
We'll be notified at the end of October of the award. And then, of course, the money would be committed in January of 26. So we would be able to kick off the grant project officially January 26. So what I would need is a motion to approve the letter of support.
I so move.
Lana moves. Second. Seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, awesome. Cool. Okay, next thing to talk about is block parties. The mayor was so gracious to be dumped in the dunk tank. Let's give him a round of
Very
applause.
dapper too.
Very dapper, very dapper. Very refreshing. We raised $200 in cash, and then we raised, I think, like a little over 150 in QR code scans for the skate park match. They were very grateful for that. So it was a big success. Who knew you could pay kids to get in the dunk tank and then have parents pay to dunk kids in the dunk tank. It was double duty. It was great. So in the future, Steve, build me a dunk tank, okay? So we don't have to rent one. We rented the dunk tank. So really like, it actually ended up zeroing out, obviously. I mean, the dunk tank cost us $250. So if we owned a dunk tank, you know, we could raise some money, guys, I tell you. Anyway, it was a great success. The block parties are proving to be really great, fun things. On that note, the September 6th block party was scheduled, and there is a lot of things happening that day. So I'm recommending we move that to a Friday, September 19th, with the fact that probably the skate park grand opening is going to be on the 20th. So we could help do maybe a skate night themed for the last block party on the final block, and have it easily roll over into the grand opening of the skate park on the 20th. So there's a motion for that later when we get into the action items. And then Fall Harvest Festival, I got a lot of feedback from everybody. It sounds like the most support was on hosting the Fall Harvest Festival on Saturday, October 25th with a Halloween theme, having a costume contest. There's a lot of events that do things pre-Halloween. So a lot of people are doing costume things before Halloween. So having a Halloween theme on Saturday, the 25th of October for the Fall Harvest Festival, we're in early discussions with Shamrock Foods to see if we can find a partnership for this to be a Taste of Idaho Springs event where Shamrock could provide like a base set of ingredients to all of the restaurants or participants, and they would create something out of that, and then people would buy tickets to taste the event. This would be a fundraiser for our choice of what we wanted to be raising funds for. So those are the two things that we're at. We could also kick off our Shop Local Best of Idaho Springs campaign at that time at the Fall Harvest Festival as well.
So Halloween's on the 31st.
Yes,
I didn't say that.
Friday.
Friday the 31st. I know, so the parade for the kids will be on Thursday. That's
So,
2.
yep, so trunk or treat, so the Minor Street trunk or treat will be on the 30th instead of,
Thursday the 30th.
yes. So the Minor Street trunk or treat will be on the 30th.
Mhm.
No real activation on the 31st for Halloween.
Okay.
And then the Saturday before would be my recommendation. The 1st is Pumpkin Smash. The 1st of November is Pumpkin Smash. That's the day after Halloween. So it would be the Saturday before that, the 25th, that we could do the Fall Harvest Festival.
But then Halloween weekend, that 1st and 2nd, we'd still stay open. Or the marketplace would stay open, and then we do the transition.
That following week.
Okay.
Correct, starting the 3rd. So Minor would transition back to traffic on the 3rd, if that's the direction the board wants to recommend.
Trying to be a little quick to do a third, open the third.
No, just starting the
Starting, yeah.
starting the transition on the 3rd, not opening on the 3rd. So starting the transition
down.
on the 3rd of November, and then we would be open for full traffic on the 10th, I would imagine it would take. Yeah.
Why that's this weekend.
Yeah, we could probably be by like maybe the 7th of, so if we started the transition on the 3rd, by Friday the 7th, we could be back to traffic on Minor. So those are the things. Arts and Education is hosting the movie Scooby-Doo and the Monsters on Thursday, 30th as well. So we could funnel children from trunk or treat to the movie thing. So there's that. Next thing to chat really quick about is the holiday lighting proposal that we received from the Colorado Lights. This is for a permanent light. The reason I'm asking for your guys' support and recommendation of this is because it's going into the 26 budget proposal. So this is to put permanent lights on Minor Street. There's 2 choices, just on the faces of Minor Street or to include them on the side. It's obviously a little bit more to include them on the sides of the buildings. So 12,882, every year for 5 years. It's a lease to own package. So by the end of the 5 years, we would own the lights, and we wouldn't have to be paying that
So when you
cost.
say faces, do you mean, north, south of north and then south?
That way, this way, this way, this way, this way.
North, south, and west.
I
All
mean,
the
'cause
directions.
like this run is pretty important because you can see from the highway, it's great. And
Yeah.
then Main Street down both sides of Main Street.
Yes.
And then the other side isn't that.
No, so it would be like this side, yeah. So this side, this side, this side,
If the lights are bright, the way that.
yes. Mhm.
What's the expected life expectancy?
10 years.
10 years,
Okay, we own them after 5,
we'd own them after 5.
and then if anything was to break after 5, it would be ours.
It would be our responsibility. And he would be a preferred vendor, so like he would have, you know, the ability to fix them.
Parts or
Parts,
not have parts.
Yeah.
Maybe.
maybe. It doesn't sound like, it sounds like the most common thing that breaks is like the,
Driver.
yeah. And those things he says are pretty easily replaceable and easy to fix. He did it,
Are these Christmas lights or?
they're permanent lights.
Yay.
So it would be,
That's so
it would
exciting.
be the opposite to Tivoli. So instead of
Yeah.
having the Tivoli across, which we've had a hard time figuring
Yeah.
out how to do, they would be the roof lines lit
Oh, that would be awesome.
with permanent lights.
When, so Castle Rock does and they just put up posts.
Yeah.
And so they're not attached to the building, just a side note, but, I'm so sorry, I have to run to another. My son just started at Rocky Mountain and
Will
he
you
gets
take
out at
this and
3:15.
will you take this and review this for me
Yeah.
and get me feedback? I figured on his first day I should be the one. Yeah, totally
Moving
forward.
And they are color change.
These ones, the ones we're recommending for downtown are not, they're the warm white.
You can get the.
You can
but
get
they're a lot more expensive.
Yeah, you can get the color changing, but they are significantly more expensive. So these would be warm white lights for downtown.
Even at
Um,
Christmas.
even if it would be the same color all year long. What from the internal conversations that we've had, we would like to do is plug into specific business electricity points on the roof and then provide them a water bill credit or a credit off of something to reimburse them for the electrical usage of the lights. We did an estimation of operating 6 hours a day, and the estimated monthly electrical cost would be $31.
See, if I may, I just don't wanna run afoul of the water enterprise. I haven't discussed this with Andy, so if we're not on the same page, that's why. But your water enterprise is pretty restricted,
Okay.
and but I think you have phrased this perfectly. The businesses should not be burdened with the cost of the
Electrical.
Right, albeit pretty modest. I'm certain that the city can make it right with the businesses without doing a discount on the water bill. I'm just worried about that because it could be perceived that we shorted the enterprise
Mm.
to offset what's actually an electric bill.
Oh, okay.
You follow me?
I totally get it.
So, but you know, between business license and other things, I'm sure we'll work it out. That there's not an actual cost to the business.
So with the support of this board, I would include this in my proposal for the 2026 budget to then take to council to get their approval on this program.
Is there potential to do solar? Does he offer that, or is there a way that we would not have to pay, like,
I asked that too.
no one would have to
and
pay for it other than the investment in the.
It's a whole different separate thing.
Okay.
But they are more modern LEDs, they're low.
They're very low wattage, yeah.
And is there anything about this,
No,
because we're running up against the window of.
well, I mean, we approved our normal holiday lights program with installing, we upped it just a little bit to install the permanent lights on this building, CRC Park, visitor center, the bathrooms at Citizens Park. So we did upgrade a little bit to include the permanent
That'd be
lights.
good so we can see it.
Yeah, so we can see them
And
this
then
year.
right now, he touts that he's the only guy in the country that has these.
It's true as far as I can find.
Is there any like pressure that we have to sign a deal with him so we can get him next year if it's all approved?
He seems to be pretty not super, he made a large investment. So he has the stock. I don't think we're at risk of losing out. If needs to order more, he'll order more, I'm sure. But it doesn't seem like he's in too much of a hurry. He understands that the minor lights would be a commitment for 26 and not this year.
So if I, trying to, because we were planning on trying to do something this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I know we had talked about what Somerset had said was if he wanted to install them on, if the plan was to install all of downtown in general in 26, he said he would be willing to install yours and have you pay for your first year and then it would roll over into the city paying for it after that. So he said he would be willing to work a deal with you for that, at least with the conversation I had with him about it.
But it's still do like holiday lights too, but this would also.
Yeah, so this would be an enhancement that would be available all year long to us, and then we would have holiday lights as normal.
I'm gonna trees, and so then it's gonna look like CRC Park. Basically.
Yeah, just those little white lights that go like all along the roof line. And the permanent ones will be able to see this year on City Hall, the visitor center, and the two parks. So those will be permanent lights as well, and we can choose if we want them on or if we don't. So think about that, that'll be budget conversations. The rest of the director's report is just an overview of numbers, where we're at on everything. Nothing too schmancy there. So my two action items are to move the block party and the fall festival.
So since September 6th, the block, but it's a Saturday, isn't it?
No, to move it from September 6th to September 19th. Right now, it's scheduled on September 6th. Why that happened, I don't know the
The
answer.
block party's on Thursday.
They're normally on Wednesdays. I honestly have no idea how that happened. I think because of Labor Day and the holiday falling weird, my brain must have done something, but we should move it. I also won't be here on September 6th, so if there's that too.
So you wanna move it to what?
The 19th. Right. To align with the skate park opening on the 20th. You have a motion for that? Motion to move. Katie, second.
Second.
Steve, second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Perfect, and then, fall festival.
When was it supposed to originally happen?
End of September, but what Steve brought up last month was that we're pretty busy at that time of year, so why add another festival in a point in time when we don't really need that?
I think it's better in October.
Yeah. I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Katie, second. Kara, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, perfect. Okay, last thing to cover is budget. Does everybody who needs one have one of these? Mary, you wanna see one? Yeah. Ed, you wanna see that? This is a broad conversation. Andy wanted me to kind of give you guys an idea of what we allocated in 2025 versus what we're going to be proposing for 26. This is the first step in this conversation. Then in September, I will provide you the firm budget that then the same day I will be probably going in front of council and presenting it. So there'll probably be some discussion via email if you guys want to have any clarifying questions. There's a couple of things on here. There's been some discussion about my role transitioning into a city staff position instead of a contracted position. So there's conversations around that. I've done a lot of market research around this position and the scope, since this is the first year I've had it as a full year, and the scope. It's pretty significantly underpaid for the scope of work that I'm currently undertaking. I'm taking on about 3 roles. So in that, the salary that I'm currently paid is not quite matching to what would be benchmark for the roles that I currently cover. So on the low end, it would be a $14,000 increase or $14,000 increase to that salary. That could be adjusted around if that's a staff position or not a staff position, based off of benefits and other things that would come from being a city staff member versus being a contractor. I know there's conversations around the independence of this role. This role being a contractor does afford some separation between the businesses having representation from an independent contractor versus the businesses being represented by a city staff member. That was kind of when we had formed it, there was a lot of conversations around that. But now that we've kind of been doing it and there's business owners on this board, the businesses still have a lot of independent representation because of you guys on the board.
It's more expensive for you too, right, to be a contractor?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
because I have to pay
like-
taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm a 1099. Yeah, so then I would have. And from the sense, if we're gonna continue down the grant administration, from the grant role, I need to be an employee to administer grants. Right now, Guy's administering the grants and I'm doing all the work, but Guy's the official grant administrator on the book because it has to be a city staff member to be a grant administrator, not a contractor.
So that's costing money too, when you're in or correct, whatever, yeah, okay.
Mhm. So there's a lot of positives to putting this role as a city staff position. I think in the future, if I was to leave this role, it would make it easier to hire a replacement if this role was a staffed position that had benefits and all of the things. I think the flexibility that I like in this comes from the fact that I'm a business owner and it's challenging for me. I am willing to look at a staff position with some of the changes that are coming my way in 26. So changing it to a staff position wouldn't preclude me from taking the role for 26, but it's something you guys definitely want to consider and talk about.
Would they be
And
required to post it or do anything different if it was a staff position, like? And they just like hire you into it?
you would have to,
We have to talk. with them.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
yeah, it might have to be posted. I applied for that posting, so, but I don't.
Well, if I may, I am personally, I'm certain it would be posted. However, there's nothing wrong with having a policy of hiring from within. And I'm just being very candid. We would be hard pressed to find anybody with the boots on the ground knowledge that Sadie has regarding the business community here. And so anyway, I'm just throwing it out there that yes, a formality of a posting, but we should be able to hire the best person for the job.
I mean, we just did it with tourism. Being super honest, not knowing who all's online, but like, I mean, we had a similar process that we just went through where we had to post it.
Right.
And we ended up technically hiring somebody who had, was a board member until a couple months ago, so. But it just creates like a length of time. It's just like the process creates just.
Right,
Time
it doesn't mean that
so much
anything
things like
nefarious
that.
is going on.
Right, It's
You're
just-
just trying to get the best person with the greatest knowledge that could benefit the community.
it's just a time and additional expense and time for somebody to post that and process it and deal with the candidates and all the things.
So that's something to consider. I definitely think whether or not it's a contracted role or a city role, an increase in that salary is needed. It just doesn't hit us. We're not in alignment with the roles and responsibilities of the salary at all. So that's just something we would need to address just from a fiduciary standpoint.
Would it need to be more? It's like if you continue to be a contractor, would it need to be like 85 or 90? You know what I mean? To like balance that out. It's like that could be a swaying point whether or not. So, okay.
Yeah, I would think so. If it's a continued to be a contractor position, it probably need to be a little bit more just to cover the increase of not having benefits and then also the tax responsibility on that. I would recommend leaving the website and marketing the same. Obviously, that 87.5 that we had included the website build out and the branding. However, what it would include for this year would be continuing, the branded and content development, but this would be our paid marketing and advertising budget. So that would be the money that we could be spending on paid ads, radio, macro, TV. So that would be my suggestion, is leaving that the same and using that fully to execute the brand in the way that we designed it to be executed. I am recommending we hire a social media manager. I am not a social media manager. Don't want to be one. Don't think it's helpful to have me. I think it's better to have me advising someone. Thanks, Kitty. Having me advising someone in that role to help build a content strategy, execute it, have planned posts, have a content calendar. With the events calendar that Guy and I are looking at pitching to all of you guys for 26, we'll need it. We'll need someone from a social media strategy to have a whole calendar built out and have a strategy. That could either be, we could go to RFP and we could get a service to do that, such as that digital Imagine that we had quote us earlier in the year, or we could hire an independent contractor to manage that as a one person. But go ahead, Tara.
Yeah, do we have someone set up for that? Because that does look pretty affordable from like what I've been quoted. Like I've been quoted like 2,000 to 2,500 a month.
Yeah,
So that would 15K would be for the year.
15K would be for the year, and that is on the low end for a person. That's a contracted person to do that role, not an agency. If we were gonna go for the agency route, we would wanna look at almost double.
Do we have someone in mind? Like is that 15K because we potentially have someone who would agree to that you think is qualified? Okay.
I have someone that has been tapping at my door
Okay.
several times a month,
So
asking
we're
about what, if they could be on the table, and I said we weren't gonna be talking about that until 26.
So I do wonder if we should think about sharing this role for the city's website.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I don't want to complicate things, but we have a new website and it's a lot more user friendly and we're trying to keep it up to date. Police departments are doing a good job. We're trying to get more up to speed, but I just throw that out that if that helps with what you're trying to do here, maybe we can add some hours there and maybe that makes it better. Now, maybe the official will say, I don't want to work that much. That's why I just throw that out that this has been kind of a need on the city side
Yeah,
for a while.
well, and I think it would help from a consistency standpoint if that person is also managing the city
Yes.
website and the events posting and all that stuff. It would keep it all in the same bucket versus having to communicate to multiple people. Yeah. Local events programming going from 18 to 30. That's actually on the low end. I haven't met with Guy yet, so I'm not sure 100% how much. Guy and I are meeting on Friday to go over his suggested 2026 events calendar, and it's robust. So,
I should add so we're pretty serious about doing a film festival in 2026.
Yep.
And we have a pretty good committee going now and like driving towards that, even possibly kind of introducing it at the arts and education event that they're doing in November. And so I don't know how you want me to communicate that or what.
just let me know what dates are so we can slide it in.
Okay.
My goal this year, just so you guys are aware, is that by end of December, I have a full 2026 events calendar that's done. That has a full calendar for 26. Obviously, we know we're gonna have things that are added to that afterwards, but at least from the city's perspective of what we are promoting, what we're being like primaries on, we have it all lined out for 26 instead of waiting until spring to plan for summer. I would like to at least have the full calendar laid out so that we can have a strategy on how we're doing those kind of things.
Well, we're looking at the first weekend of November.
First
Like
weekend of
this-
November.
Like the 6th, 7th, 8th is kind of what we set aside. I'm not saying it's gonna be 3 days. We're probably gonna start small, like with a day or something, but we haven't quite gotten there yet.
First weekend, you said?
Yeah, it's like November 6th to the 8th. And again, it's probably not all those days.
Awesome.
That's where.
So again, that 30,000, I think, is on the lower end. I added 12,000 to that, but then after I looked at Guy's thing, that might be a little bit low.
Thank you, Guy.
6, he's on lunch.
I know he is.
Yeah. So I do have a feeling that that might end up being more like a $50,000 budget line item as an FYI for people. It is essentially programming us from January to December pretty significantly. It would be our first go at something like this. Which leads me to the next line item.
So before you go on,
Yeah.
are you also with that event calendar trying to program in things that we aren't necessarily involved in?
Yes,
Even if it's tentative. I know
Correct.
sometimes dates change, but there's some recurring events that seem to pop up and we
yes.
shouldn't be surprised by those. We should at least have them penciled in and say, no, right, you know.
This has essentially everything we did this year, expecting those that are normally recurring events to
Right.
happen along the same timeline.
Right.
So it has everything that we normally do
Okay.
that's private, then the city, we have also city/partnership events where we might not be the primary, but we know that we're part of it in some way. So it has us again programmed from essentially February all the way to December.
New events?
There are several new events, which is why the next person
That's
is
why
on
Steve's so
this
excited.
list.
Well, I should say the film festival, we're looking at a countywide
Yes,
activity.
that's a countywide, yes.
Yeah.
So, and you probably know this, but there is a county, there's a person in Clear Creek County that kind of tracks events countywide. So we try to coordinate with them and just be aware of that,
Yeah,
as well.
and my goal is to also share this within the county tourism so that they can also see that and we can have a full plan.
That's an area of opportunity.
It is an area
To be
of,
more oriented.
yes, to be more
With
coordinated.
Jess coming on board, I think we can be better at that.
I agree,
Yeah.
I agree.
And also there'll be coordination with Argo, I'm sure, right? With the.
Yes, this
the
has,
events, yeah.
this calendar
And Comba. and
has
events.
0 Argo events on it. It does have Comba events on it.
Comments, okay.
Yeah, it does have combo events on it, but has 0 Argo events on it. So again, this is not taking into account what Argo is going to be doing
Okay.
to activate their space.
Okay.
I do want to stress heavily that we need to hire a part-time contracted events manager. We have limited volunteers and Steve and I are burnt out. Steve cannot step away from his business as much as he does to do all the events that are not his business's events. So we need to hire someone. It can't be we can't count on a volunteer for this. Now, if we hire someone, that person might be able to rally more volunteers from the sense that that's their part of their job is to create volunteers for specific events. But we do need to hire a contractor. This 22,000 is an hourly rate of $22 an hour. Part-time for the major events that are our city events. That would be like, we're the headline sponsor, we're the organizer, we're doing all the work.
I think it's great. I think, and I know you already have a couple people that would be awesome at that role, so.
Yeah. I do have a couple of people in mind that I think would be excellent applicants for that role. So it wouldn't be challenging to fill it, in my opinion.
And they've already seen it and done it, and so it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty easy just to norm them into the process.
Exactly. Yes.
Is there an opportunity to combine social media with events, or is that really?
I
we
really
could- not
think those should be two
separate.
separate two separate people or two separate organizations. I do think eventually we probably want to look at contracting an agency to manage social media. I don't know that we're there next year. But I do think we're heading in that direction, where we'll want an agency that does content creation, that does videography, photography, the whole 9 yards. It'll be cheaper for us to contract an agency that just does it all versus us piecemealing it and contracting it out. Right now, we pay Ross contractor rate to take pictures, then I create content, then I post the content. So next year, it might be that we're still paying some photography contractors to get photography and video, but then the social media person would be creating content and posting content. But I do think eventually we'll want to move into the direction where we have an agency, they do shoots 2 to 3 times a year, they come up, they do photo, they do video, they have an asset catalog that they then build and create content for us along with our brand strategies. And again, as Tara says, that 15,000 is for a contracted person, not an agency. If we're going agency, I would say more like 25 to 30,000 for an agency for a year.
Is someone who's already working on some of that right now? Okay.
It is, yeah. She's already in our community. She's already a contractor for several businesses doing social media. And I based that 15,000 off the quote she already gave me. Holiday decorating, I put the increase in there. Oh, I forgot to mention, the fireworks I have is the same, or the 4th of July town party I have is the same, but we don't have a proposal yet from Zamboni on Zambelli. Zamboni is the ice. Ice and fire, totally different things. Yeah, Zambelli. We don't have a proposal from them, so I would imagine that will go up as they pre-warned us that that contract is going to be more expensive for fireworks. So we requested it from them. So as soon as we get that, I'll update you guys on that.
So Dennis, I know we talked with council about this, about fireworks versus maybe something else. Do we, what's the thinking among us as far as fireworks versus something else?
So last meeting, we had pro fireworks, we had majority
Our
support.
direction is to continue with fireworks. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
Maybe
so
thumbs up.
we have.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm that. That
Right.
was my understanding, but I just said, I was thinking to myself, okay, this really, do we need to have more discussion, or is this really the way we want to go?
No, I mean, last meeting we talked about it and it was a full majority from every board member wanting fireworks. So, but I do imagine that 50,000 will increase again
Right.
without the proposal. There's no way to know how much, but I know it will go up.
And last time we did a 5-year proposal, and I imagine there'll be something.
Something similar.
Yeah, and we're a little bit of an escalation each year.
I don't think we need to change in the contingency fund. We actually haven't tapped the contingency fund at all this year. So I think we're okay leaving it there. I don't think, I'm trying to be really good about making sure everything is budgeted within its category. Holiday decorating does increase. I have the increase for the permanent lights on minor. I think it sounds like we have support from the board to move forward in that direction. For the remaining board members, do you guys agree with me that including that in the budget for 26 is a good idea? Okay.
So that would, what we would, if, the, holiday decorating with Somerset, that's for formal adoption, that's going to council on the 25th. Okay, so then we'll have, an agreement with them and all that.
And that will be for the new 5-year
Correct.
rate, which
So it'll be for what
includes
we've already had
with the
with
installation
some
of
permanent
permanent.
lighting. And then we can just add to that. I would just say we add, based on his proposal, we'll just say Somerset, if it gets approved next year, we wanna add,
He did a separate
the
proposal.
water wheel or whatever we're gonna do.
Yeah, he did a separate proposal for the permanent lights downtown. So we have a proposal for that 18,962 for the permanent light installation downtown, and then Ed is still brainstorming on the water wheel.
I'm not sure what to do. I mean,
I understand, it's a complicated
the
thing.
18 is not for the whole downtown, it's just for the downtown.
18,000 is for the permanent lights on all the buildings downtown,
And the sides.
and the sides.
Yeah.
It's not that bad.
No, it's really inexpensive and after 5 years, we own those lights. So,
So we'll just need to maybe revisit,
We have-
next year to see, okay, now how do we want to expand this?
yeah, exactly. That would be a
But we'll already
continued.
have an agreement in place. If we do nothing, we'll just.
Keep going, yeah.
Okay.
So if we get council approval for this 26 budget, then I can tell Somerset, hey, we got it approved for downtown lights. He would install them in spring of 26, because they'll have to wait for the weather to be, like, the buildings have to be a certain
Can't be
temperature.
controlled yet, they glue them. So the water wheel is a power thing, or what is it?
It's a
Well, it
moving thing.
spins.
Yeah, so,
So the idea was to have it spinning with the lights going. And that they would change color
Yes.
too, but that was extra cost.
Well, no,
We didn't even get to that lights yet.
because you
We're
guys are
still
still,
figuring out how to get those lights to shine while the
thing is spinning,
kid is spinning.
yes.
And the ideas that we've come up with so far are kind of redneck.
like wicked transition.
Yes.
Like how a horn works when the steering wheel turns?
Yeah,
Yeah, kind of. So
Yeah, but
the horn is simpler though, because there's only one connection. You know, there would be a return.
So one suggestion I might have on that, I don't know if we talked about this, but maybe we compromise and we say in summer, when the water's flowing, the wheel turns and we don't light it up. But in the winter, or
Yeah.
half the year when it's not turning, that's when we light it up. And then you don't have the power.
And we could still have
connection.
permanent lights.
we can get the
But-
lights to the
but-
movement, not the water wheel.
But but everything attached to the wheel would be secure enough to spin without them moving in.
Yeah, so there's options, that would be.
Just a thought, I mean, because we light it up for the holidays, we had some talk about lighting it up for Halloween. It
Yes.
might be kind of fun, maybe St. Patty's Day, but then we just say, okay, it's time for it to turn, the water's flowing, we just don't light it up
Doesn't get
through the
dark
summer,
till
it
9
doesn't get
o'clock.
dark till late.
Yeah.
So just a way, I know that the problem, I guess, Ed, is right, how do you make a connection to it when it's spinning? Is that
Right, so, I mean, then the other idea was, to have lights on the frame of the wheel. And then just have something that would reflect light on the wheel spinning. So as the lights would flicker, it would actually reflect light off of the water wheel.
Mhm.
And so nothing would actually be spinning or attached to the wheel at all, other than some smoke and mirrors, you know what I mean? So magician stuff.
I like imagining you as a magician, Ed, that's
Right,
great.
well, I did good.
Don't look behind the curtain, guys.
Yeah.
Don't look behind
You're
the
watching
curtain.
his hands over here while he's doing
Yeah.
something else
Or,
over there.
you know, would just the lights shining on the wheel work? And, you know, flashing lights in the.
On
onto
the
wheel,
frame, yeah.
Onto the spinning wheel instead of on the spinning wheel, it'd just be shining on it.
Yeah, so that's a 26 conversation where if we wanna increase into the water wheel conversation, Ed's still mulling over it.
Yeah, it's thinking.
Ed's thinking about that.
I really want it to spin though.
I really want it to spin, and I really wanna
It'd be
do
like the
lights.
whole world would be talking about.
I really
spinning
want
lights,
it-
Water wheel.
I also really want it to light up year round, because 4th of
Right.
July with fireworks going off with the water wheel lit up with cool red, white, and
And
blue.
it's spinning.
And you can
with-
program
and the
it to be
water,
different.
And the reflection of the water into the lights.
It would be way cool.
It would be way cool.
And I'm for hamster power, just think about it.
Go ahead, Chuck, you're hired.
We did it with a snow cone machine.
Yeah, the
Get
snow
the
cone
kids in
machine.
there,
Right.
they have to run to get their snow
Absolutely
cone.
right. So then the other thing is that the water wheel is old. And for example, if everyone has noticed, it's not on. Turning.
Sure,
It's not turning.
currently.
Right now, currently, because it's making a clunking noise, and Bob says there's a grinding noise.
Oh, boy.
So until we narrow down exactly what that is, we don't just wanna be spinning it all willy-nilly like a 4-year-old.
No, that's
Because
probably,
you don't want it to break and fall off,
no, that's,
so it's gonna take some time to figure out exactly what's making that noise.
yeah, that's a great, I think Tara and I are comfortable leaving flowers at the same, I don't think she's
Yeah,
gonna,
we were under budget.
We were-
Looking at this, I failed to ask what budget was.
Yeah.
So I just-
well, now you know in advance.
Yeah, we're fine.
Yeah, I think we significantly came under budget again, so that's always a good amount, plus with the businesses buying in, we usually exceed and have funds to donate. So that's awesome. I added in the $10,000 CTO grant. I will update my, I'll find the research to find out about the execution grant for the wayfinding and add that in. Right now, just with these increases that I've talked about, we're talking about a total increase of 61,962 to this budget. On the backside, you can see a narrative that talks about all of my justifications around this and why I feel the way that I do. We are continuing to see sales tax trending in the increase in Idaho Springs, which is actually pretty impressive for every other destination municipality seeing decreases. So I feel like we're justified to ask for the increases that we're asking for because it kind of shows me the work that we're doing is working. We're the talk.
Data where that tax revenue is being generated, because it seems like most of the restaurants are flat.
We're seeing a lot of, so I asked Warner to provide me East End versus downtown, and what I'm seeing is that we're seeing a lot of increases on the East End. So that's great. We're continuing, again, as you see from the sales tax report and the director's report, we've only seen 1 month in 25 where we've seen a decrease in our sales tax revenue. Every month has been an increase. So I think we're projected to continue to see growth throughout that
Question,
answer.
how much of this do you think is because like of the 1% sales tax for streets and the 1% sales tax for water increase that we recently passed?
Oh.
So we did increase taxes. So how much of this could be due to that?
Maybe the months where we're at the 2%, you know, where it's pretty flat, like where like we only saw like a 2% rise. Those might be just those where we're probably flat.
And pretty much every restaurant did about a 7%.
Yes.
Menu increase. So, is that?
Sorry, it's still 10.55, right?
Yep.
I was like,
Yeah, we've been there for a while.
Tara's like, did I not raise my taxes? I'm in
For a while
trouble.
means, didn't we just did it for 24 or 25?
24, we raised, 25 has been the same.
Because for us, just as a report, we're flat, but we're down 10% in visitors.
And I think according to Colton's report, when it looks at spending patterns, restaurants are still seeing growth and retail and everything else is seeing dips. But when we compare our numbers to other destination municipalities, we're really doing good. Like, we're really, really doing good. We're the talk of like, what is going on? What is Idaho Springs doing? Why are they so different?
I think that's mostly, I will say this is my thing I'm beating the drum on is summertime, what Colton's did is just, we are what people want.
Yep.
Wintertime, it's gonna be tough again.
Do you agree? We're gonna need, and that's where talking around, if we want to really focus on like shop local, attracting people in the winter this year, both at the end of this year and the beginning part of next year, I think it's important we spend some marketing dollars in that area. Because if we don't tell them we have what they want in the winter, they won't go. Because we still, again, we get significantly less snow, so there's still lots of great days where it's gorgeous out here. You can still recreate, you can still come and shop, you can still come and
Bike trails.
bike trails will be.
Hopefully the gondola will be going here.
We do need to also just remember that there might be potentially probably a seasonal closure of E-Camp again this year.
So when we do that, is the gondola gonna close too?
But it does sound like it's probably heading in that direction again this year.
Don't know for sure, but it's certainly a possibility.
When will we know?
We probably sometime in the fall.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll try not to let it get to the last minute this time.
That'd be great. Last time I was like horrible. I was like, wait, we're closing the bike park in like a week? What? No, we just started.
One other thing that's related is expanding the managed parking program. Council did approve the updated parking plans, and now we just have to work with Interstate to get that implemented on the East End. So that's gonna bring in more revenue, not for general use, but just like for the parking revenue downtown, going to the parking enterprise. we haven't quite figured out how we'll track it separately, but we will track it separately. The funding that comes in from the east end, which is where most of the expanded paid parking will go.
Yep.
Won't be on the west end, because all residential. And my thought, we'd want to figure out how we track that separately, both from the interstate side and from the city side. And then how that money's being used, whether it's being used partly for the improvements to parking on the east end, partly maybe for the mountain park, or, you know, how we want to use that. And I just mentioned that because we've had some discussion here about it. It does affect businesses and residents on the east end. So we just need to kind of be aware that's going to be coming along and raising some additional revenue, not through taxes, but through you know, mostly visitors.
Okay, any thoughts, considerations, things you guys wanna see in the budgetary numbers? What I'll probably do is, since the board meeting in September is later, as a reminder, will be on the 22nd, instead of the 21st, or yeah, the 22nd instead of the whatever, 15th, yes. thank you.
First is on Monday.
Yes, the first is, it makes it weird. The first falls on a Monday, which is odd.
Which is a holiday too.
So the 22nd will be our board meeting. That will most likely also be the night I'm gonna be going in front of council to discuss the budget. So just note that I'll probably be emailing you guys regarding the budget, the way we've been doing, just blind copy emailing you for feedback and making sure you guys are comfortable with where we're going. Key things I would love your feedback on are this position's role and your guys' feelings around staff position or contractor. So that's something to really consider and think about, because that shapes a lot of this budget and how we frame it. And then, again, just keeping an eye on, I'll probably be increasing the events and the 4th of July category. Those will be most likely increasing. So those are things to keep in mind. Any questions on the budget outside of that? Do you have a preference on being staff or contract? I don't. I would say, similar to what Tara said, from that position, at full transparency, it's hard, you know, my mom is moving. So everybody knows my mom is who runs my shop and how I can do what I do. She's moving.
When is she moving?
The end of September.
Oh, goodness.
So she will be here in the summer, so it will be, I will have her in the summer season, but it would be, I wouldn't have her full-time anymore. So I would need to have some consideration around what I would be doing with my business. There are some changes coming down the pipe with my business, so that might shift things completely, or I would need to look at it from a sense of the increase being enough that I can probably subsidize paying a manager. I mean, I'm committed to this role, you guys know I am. Seeing it through to the end of these projects for sure. So.
Values are there, like regardless of personal stuff, that's my opinion that the value is there.
Yeah.
Robert, you wanna do that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm comfortable with either. I wanna make sure that I think the thing I told the mayor was I just wanna make sure that from the perspective of the business owners, that they still feel like they're independently represented. And I think that the thing that drives that home is you guys. You know, you guys are their independent representation because you're appointed to this board to represent the businesses of the community. I think that creates a lot of independence here, because if you guys have Andy's the only staff member on the board. If you guys had a majority vote to say, hey, this is not going in the direction we want, this is not representing us, you guys carry the majority as business owners on the board versus the staff role.
And if I may, it's one important reason I'm not on the board.
Yeah.
I'm here to answer questions, but
Right.
that really is it for my role. You control your own destiny.
Do you feel like you would still have the flexibility in the staff position, like? I mean, would you report to like Andy or something and to the board type of thing, and then,
Yeah.
but you would still be able to like work the hours that you needed to work and.
Andy and I spoke about that, and that would be something that would be continued conversations around the job description. And, you know, it would be a salaried position, so it wouldn't be required certain hours, and as long as the work is being done and the goals are being met, it doesn't seem like they have other staff positions that are not in the four walls of this
You're not
building.
here like 8 to 5 Monday through
Right.
Friday.
Exactly.
You go do what you need to do, and if you're working at 7 PM at night, that's when you.
Exactly. So I think from Andy's perspective, there are other staff roles within the city that function that way, so it wouldn't be recreating a wheel. It would just be very clearly lined out in the job description, through those things to, because those are things that are important to me. Obviously, it's important that I can, you know, meet with business owners outside of peak hours, that I can work on the weekends, and, you know, those are things that are important for me. I think having an office outside of City Hall has been very beneficial. If people know where I am, they can find me and talk to me, and it's an approachable situation. So I think there's pros to having it as a staff role. I think the major pro for this role is that when I do leave this role, it makes it a hireable role. Whereas I don't know that you would be able to entice an independent contractor into doing what I'm doing. I think I took it because I'm doing it for all of, you know, doing it for all of us. But I think to serve the sustainability of this role, I do think it would probably benefit it to have it as a staffed position because it comes with benefits. And the support of having a staff role, which gives it more
On
structure,
the W-2 versus the 1099, which, yeah.
is a huge benefit. Most people are not looking for taking on high-paying 1099 roles.
Well, and honestly, probably if you looked at it from like state statute, it probably really is more of an employee role than an independent contractor role, so it just kind of aligns everything a little bit better.
All right, guys, any other
The
questions?
position in Georgetown is also,
It's a
is that
staff.
Georgetown employee?
Staff,
Staff.
it's a staff role. Same thing with the
The
tourism.
town of Georgetown.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, just as an example.
Yeah,
comparison.
Same thing also, the tourism director. The
Right.
tourism director
It's
is a
different.
county staff.
Well, she's technically, we're a nonprofit, so she's a
Employee of the
nonprofit, and then we have like an MOU with the county.
Oh, I see.
We use- Yeah.
Yeah, so she's again, an
Yes.
employee, not a contractor.
Right.
So I think industry standard in this role is a staffed position from at least the research that I've done. So we set it up as a contractor because we're starting something new and it made a lot of sense to start it that way. So it's really up to you guys how we want to continue to shape that. And I'm open either way. But I think Tara's perspective, just keep in mind, if we do choose to go contractor again, I would probably want to look more at that 85 range just to offset the tax increase there for
And
myself.
this is a first draft, I mean.
Oh, yeah, this
I know,
is,
to be fair, I asked Sadie if we could talk about this a little bit, just because of our schedule. It'd be good just to make sure you all were aware of what we're thinking about, then we meet with each department end of this month when they submit their budgets, and then we go to council, and that's when we start having the public meetings. And so it's a work in progress. This is
Yeah,
just kind of the
I think
first
it's
portion.
But honestly, I think it looks great, so.
All new line items.
yes, we're gonna
There's more line items than just those though.
well, these are the ones that I'm quote unquote responsible for. And then there's a bunch of other ones in that category that I just ignore. So we are going to work internally from a city perspective, Guy, Andy and I, to align the budget line items on the budget sheet so that they're the same. Because right now I'm making, this is not at all what the city, if you were to go like match this into the city budget, you would be playing
I
hide.
just did that, it didn't work at all.
No, it doesn't work at all. Guy and I have been playing all sorts of
It's like,
fun.
wait, she's not gonna change mine. 'cause I
For
put stuff
example,
on
in the
there.
city's long-standing community promotion budget, there's also the visitor center.
Yes.
We have a quarterly contribution to the operations of the visitor center,
And I don't even like,
which the historical society operates. So that's an example of a line item that the city's talking about.
yeah,
I
and
mean,
there's
it's
like,
related, it's important, it's, we need to be coordinated and all
Yeah.
that, but it's not something.
yeah, and like there's the mayor's award thing,
The youth awards.
the youth awards, that's not, So there's items, so I think as we formalize the 26's budget, we'll have a community, a BCPB section of the budget that will be line itemed, how we categorize it, so that I
It
can.
might still be under the overarching community promotion.
Yes.
In the general fund is my guess.
Yeah,
Just-
and then we'll have those line items more
That'd be
lined
better
out.
laid out.
It will be easier for me to track
Extra lines.
expenses. And it'll be easier for Guy to code things, because Guy's like, what? All right, thanks, guys. I'm gonna adjourn us at next meeting, as a reminder, the 22nd instead of the 15th. And I'm adjourning us at 3:45.
Thank you, Sadie.